Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. We're happy that you joined us. Broaden the scope of exposure for your business by going beyond the interview. Learn more at www.jmmbmediallc.com or email us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. The quote of the day: accounting is not just about adding up numbers. It's about understanding the story behind the numbers. Jim Stovall. Wow, we are so happy to welcome Shauna, the tax goddess, who is a CPA, MTax, CTC, CTX, tax goddess, who is a highly sought after certified public accountant with a master's degree in taxation and founder of the Tax Goddess Business Services. Wow, I like that name. PC. Established in 2004, she is ranked in the top 1% of tax strategists in the entire country. Wow, that is so impressive.
Oh.
The business is a global team of 65 plus specialists that uses plain language, not tax code, to help business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs create plans of action to increase the business owner's bottom line, reduce costs, significantly reduce taxes, increase cash flow, and perform what if scenario options so that owners know what decision to make and which paths are best suited to their situation. Wow. Welcome, Shauna.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Excited to have you. And you are the small few, I'm going to say, that love numbers.
Well, I was going to say, let's back up. I like numbers, but I love saving people money, which is, in my mind, my favorite bit of the numbers. So
Yes, because I can recall trying to do my taxes and oh my God, what a disaster it was.
Oh,
Never, ever, ever again.
Smart lady.
Never, ever, ever again. Wow. So tell us how you got on this role. How did you get involved with all of this?
Oh, it's actually a great question. I actually started off in astrophysics, completely different arena, still very numbers driven, right? But the very long story short, when I went to go talk to, this is way back when I went to go talk to the dean of the science college, and I said, listen, I want to work for JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs. That was my dream. That's what I wanted to do when I was a youngin', right? That's what I wanted to do. And he said, okay, no problem. It's going to take about 10 years of schooling, probably another 10 years of research, and then maybe you'll be, a decently high level in Jet Propulsion Labs at JPL. And I said, okay, well, I mean, that's okay. I guess that's okay. It's kind of what I want, that's fine. But I also love to travel. Okay. And in order to travel, in my mind, travel is not, a 3-day weekend in Mexico, right? Travel is, let's go see India. Let's go climb the mountains in Nepal. Like, let's be gone for a month or 2 or 3 and travel the world. And in order to do that, right, that was not going to fit in with a 10-year tenure and all these things that had to be done to work for JPL. There was no significant time off. That just was not going to work. So I started looking at other things, could I be an engineer? It's still a 40-hour-a-week job. Maybe you get 2 weeks off page, is that going to work? Started looking at finance. I'm like, same thing, W-2 job, really not going to happen. And I ended up in accounting because in tax, of course, everybody knows there's a huge tax season. You work a ton, but in the summertime, there's not really a whole heck of a lot to do. There is now these days. Now I found all the things to do. But at the time, that was going to give me, my 3 months off in the summertime that I could go travel and see the world. And so ended up going that path, going that direction. And it helped my family. I will never forget the story. My mom, actually, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my mom. She's a general contractor, right? And my mom is my goddess, right? People call me the tax goddess, but she's my goddess from that standpoint. We were sitting at the kitchen table and she got a notice from the dreaded IRS, right? No, nobody wants that notice.
Right.
Yeah. And here this very stoic woman, normally very stoic woman, like pushed back from the table and this is ridiculous, you know, very, very upset about this notice. And come to find out that the IRS was trying to charge her for something, tax bill for something that was not actually real, right? It was not an appropriate tax bill. And she had gone to her CPA, her financial advisor, like she'd gone to her team and they all told her, just pay it, just pay it. I'm not a big fan of just paying something that isn't real. Like why, right?
Right.
And so, you know, it was almost the perfect confluence of events here, right? I was studying tax. She gets this notice. She gave it to me and said, listen, see if you can figure it out. Okay. And she was my first client from that standpoint. And so we figured out what was wrong. We went back to the IRS. They agreed with us. She didn't have to pay the bill. It was like a $50,000 bill. It was a big number, right?
Yeah.
And really it settled for me in my mind that, you know, unfortunately, good or bad, so many CPAs, like just straight CPAs, I'm a CPA too, okay, but just straight CPAs don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth to be able to really look in and really drill in and really find details and strategies for their clients that are going to help them not pay $50,000 bills, right? It's a big number. And so very long story short, after switching from astrophysics to tax, worked for KPMG for a while, which is one of the 4 remaining big accounting firms. And then I did a Goldilocks thing, you know, big firm, medium firm, little firm, and then Tax Goddess. We will be 20 years old next August in 2024. Wow. So went out on my own. And this past year, we just surpassed, what is it, 846 million in tax savings for our clients because we specialize in tax strategy, finding ways to get people legally out of paying tax bills. So.
Oh, wow. That is so awesome, Shauna. And it's so funny how we end up in places because of personal reasons.
Every time, 100%. Yeah. It's well, you know, when you see your mom upset, what are you going to do? Say, pay it? No, you're going to try to fix it, of course. You know,
and especially to the tune of $50,000, you just
tell you what.
That.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, indeed. I don't even have that experience and I'd be finding a way not to pay it.
Yes, exactly. So
for sure. So talk a little bit about saving money in taxes through strategies, because a lot of people, you know, probably including myself, the end of the year, I just go get my taxes done. I have right now, don't have anybody teaching me how to be strategic about not paying taxes. So
absolutely.
Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. One of my favorite subjects. So thank you, Ida. I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah. So really, you hit the nail on the head, right? The way you phrased it was, I get at the end of the year and then I go get my taxes done. Okay. Tax strategy is something that if you want to reduce your taxes when you go to file the taxes in March or April, you know, whenever you're filing your taxes, you really need to be working on tax strategies in the year in which you're about to pay taxes for. So for example, you know, right now we're in 2023. And so if I want to lower my 2023 taxes, I need to do things. I need to follow strategies. I need to implement techniques, right? We call it the tax rhythm formula. Okay. You know, you have to implement these things in the current year, because once the year is over, after December 31st, whatever it is, you did what you did, right? And so if, as you said, if you don't get educated, if you're not implementing strategies before the end of the year, your bill is going to be what your bill is. And you're going to be upset another year that you're stroking that check to the IRS, right? So really what we tend to look at, there are multiple different ways to skin the tax cat, is the way that I look at it, okay? We look at about 400 strategies, big strategies, right? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of little tiny tweaks that we can make. And so we look at all of those, but we look at 400 big strategies that will drop someone's tax bill on average about $25,000 per strategy. So depending on how many strategies apply to your specific case that will tell us, okay, well, we're 25,000 savings, 50, 75, 100, the largest single savings for a single client that we've had was 112.6 million on a on a 5-partner business deal. I think the sales price was like 226 million. So really depending on, and you don't have to be a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, right, to save this kind of money. Really, some of the best tax strategies in the code come from owning a business. Now, that could be an actual brick and mortar business. That could be a side gig, like driving for Lyft or Uber. The DoorDash guys, right? Driving around delivering everybody's food. So a business is only some sort of income that you're earning that is not from a W-2 job. That's really the definition of it. So we've even had clients do something as simple as starting a small business, teaching the neighbors' kids how to play guitar. It doesn't have to be a huge, big thing. But once you have business income, right, or cryptocurrency or real estate investments, there's a few other categories in there, but business income is kind of the easiest one. Mm-hmm. Once you have business income, now you can start looking at, okay, well, what kind of strategies are going to work for me and my situation? So, for example, if you're married, if you have kids over the age of 7, if you have dogs where the shoulder height is taller than your knee, if you own your home versus renting your home, there are strategies that work in all of these situations. And for many people, their CPA that prepares the tax return, right? The CPA's job is to take your numbers, put them in the software, spit out a return, and make sure you're not breaking any laws, right? That's your job. Make sure you don't get audited. You're not breaking any laws. We pay the bill. That's what it is. Your strategist's job, your tax strategist's job, is to help you figure out which strategies apply to you, how to actually implement them, and then answering your questions about the actual implementation, right? So, Shauna, you told me about the dog thing. Can I write off my dog? Does my Chihuahua count? A little too small, but no, your German Shepherd would, these kinds of things, right? So being a tax strategist and helping people, it's almost more of like a teaching and guiding kind of position, because really our job is to crawl into your brain, know everything about you, your family, your business, what you're doing, and then apply all of the tax knowledge to that information. So,
wow. And that's you explained that so very well, because a lot of times you get your taxes done and there's no type of explanations explaining, and the tax law for most of us is googly gob.
I like it, googly gob. I'm going to use that phrase. Absolutely. Well, and again, I do feel sorry because for many, many years I was a standard traditional CPA, right? Like you'll notice after my name, right? CPA comes first because certified public accountant. I mean, that's what I am. But then I got my master's in tax. Then I became a certified tax coach. We specialize in strategy. Then I became a certified tax strategist, right? Like the top of the top of the top, you start to specialize in these things. And, I remember when I was just a CPA, air quotes, just a CPA, right? Which CPAs are amazing. We need CPAs to prepare tax returns, right? Like we got to have those people on our team. But when I was just a CPA, I remember feeling super frustrated. Like I should be able to do more. I should be able to get better for my clients. Like I feel like I'm missing a whole section of things. And many CPAs, if you think about your standard CPA during tax season, they barely have time to look up from their paperwork to greet you when you go to get your taxes done, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have the time. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the staff or the team to be able to help them get bandwidth to go do all the education, to do the research. I mean, the IRS tax law changes 3 times a day, every day, right? And that, let alone the states and the territories and the global tax. I mean, you have to be on top of your research to be able to do the tax strategy side, because if something changes, you have to be able to know and change it and modify and, do what you need to do. So yeah, I'm never upset with CPAs, but I always tell people, listen, if the only financial professionals that you have on your team is a bookkeeper and a CPA, you're missing the third leg of your chair and your chair's going to fall over. You're missing your tax strategist. You got to have that team of 3 to be able to keep the chair upright and solid and stable. So,
wow. And that makes perfectly sense. Now, let me ask you, do you support other CPAs in terms of educating them on that area?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and if you think about it, so, you said I went to my person and I had them do my tax returns, right? It's CPAs want to learn. A good CPA wants to learn. They want to know, right? But again, it's time, it's bandwidth, it's whatever. So when we, as a tax strategist, when we write a tax plan for somebody, that plan, and nobody freak out when you hear this, that those plans are typically 200 to 800 pages long. They're huge. Right. And it's, it's not quite Bible paper, but it's like tiny print, it's all the stuff. And the reason why we do that is because when we give somebody a tax plan, it's very important to me that you have the backup to be able to take that plan to your CPA and say, here's the plan, here's all the steps, here's the video that comes along with it. Like, here's what I'm supposed to do. You're my CPA, help me implement it. And if the CPA has questions, like because they know how to read IRS code, right? That's part of being a CPA. But if they have questions, then the CPA, the client, and us will get on a joint call to go over it. What do you have questions on? What are you worried about? Let's talk about the court case. Let's talk about, whatever it is that they have a concern with, to make sure that the CPA is educated, that they can feel confident signing the bottom of that tax return when they file it.
Wow. And you can't get no better than that.
I think so. Sweet. I think so. Well, I think it all comes down to the fact, a big part of it is my own personality. Let's put it that way, right? Like, I love knowing things. I think I'm the ultimate teacher, in my own mind. I love guiding. I love teaching. I love speaking. I love educating. It's important to me. And I'm very, very lucky that, as you said, we've got quite a big crew over here at Tax Goddess. So I'm able to do my passion. And I do think that really comes across when I work with people and when we speak to people, and I've got a team, right, that helps support me, and they are trained the same way to be educational, to explain things. How does it work? These kinds of things. Because as you said, it's gobbledygook. And if you don't know as a client what you're signing or what you're doing, the IRS, they might come talk to me and they might come talk to your CPA, but you're the client, you're the one that signed that tax return.
Yeah.
So you have to know what's on there, at least to a base level.
Yes, absolutely. So if people want to work with you, how do they do so?
I am super easy to find from that standpoint. The team and I can be found at taxgoddess.com. And the easiest way, if you're looking for some help, if you're missing that third leg of your chair, you can book a call with the team and we'll see what we can do. What's your situation? Who are you? And what kind of help are you looking for?
Yes, absolutely. Wow. Wow, this is so beautiful. I'm happy to meet you.
Aw. Well, thank you. I'm happy to meet you too. I'm a big fan. There's only 607 CPAs in the entire US that do what I do. And so we're a rare breed. And so I love the opportunity to be able to expand the reach of the knowledge that something like this even exists. Because so many people feel like, well, my CPA is getting me all the deductions I can. No, right? So many people just don't even know that someone like us, that CTC and CTS even exist. So.
Yes. And this is definitely important information to know, because nobody wants to pay IRS.
Cheers to that, right? Get it down to the bare legal minimum, whatever you're required to pay by law, but not a penny more. So.
Right. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about business growth in the digital space.
Ooh, okay. Where do you want to start that? That's a big question.
You tell me.
Business growth in the digital space. Well, I can come at it from a couple of different angles. So let me start there. So as I mentioned, Tax Goddess will be 20 years old next year in 2024. We actually, as a company, we went all digital about 10 years ago. So long before COVID, our team is global. We're in 20 different countries. So we have people all over the place, all different time zones, all working together. So when I hear about business growth in the digital space, so some of the big pieces for me are, how are you doing communication internal to your team, right? So we use Slack. It's one of my favorite tools. I love that thing. Between Slack and Zoom, everybody's connected almost all the time, which is great. And then, of course, being a CPA, security is the other side of that, right? We have a lot of highly sensitive, confidential kind of information. And so we actually have our own tech team internal to Tax Goddess, for example. We hire every other year, we hire a professional hacker, like a company, to try to break into our systems. So it's pretty cool from that standpoint, really big on client security, of course. Yeah, and then the only other piece of it is, if you're trying to grow, I'm very clear on hiring people that are smarter than you to do the things that are not your strengths.
Right. Exactly.
And so, I'm definitely the talker. As I said, I love educating, I love speaking, I love, getting that information out there. But I have an operations manager, I have an HR lady, like we have professionals that are much smarter than I am, doing the different pieces of what needs to be done internal to the company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The team makes the dream.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I love it.
For sure. And one other question I have for you is women entrepreneurs and empowerment. Let's talk about a little bit about that, because you are a woman doing what you do, and I don't know many women that are in your shoes.
Actually,
Because for the most part, this is a male-dominated industry.
it has been for a very long time, accounting. Absolutely. Yeah.
I definitely applaud you for going over the top with and competing against the male population in this field. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I think for me, earlier I mentioned my mom is my goddess, right? She was a single mom, right, and had 2 daughters. And so I will, in my head, I'll attribute all of this to her, ever since we were little, and I'm talking 5 years old, little, right? She always said, whatever you want in life, you've got to do. You, not a husband, not somebody, you, right? If you want it, you go get it, you build it, right? And she always gave us the confidence that, male, female, like, it doesn't matter, right? Anyone can do anything 100% of the time. And, I love having that as the mental, the voice in the back of my head, like, you can do it. You're smart, you're talented, you can figure this out, right? So what I would say to other women out there, right? Because not everybody was as lucky to have a mom like mine, right? That told them, you're smart and pretty and you can do it, kind of thing, right? No matter what it is. I think the biggest thing is finding a female mentor. She's a very successful general contractor, right? I watch her and she's built businesses and made tons of money. And, so finding a female mentor that you can look up to, that you respect, that tells you you're smart and pretty and capable and you can do it, right? And finding somebody to help you with that. And there's some amazing organizations out there, women's WPO, women's president's organization. There's a lot of really amazing female, if you need that kind of support, and that's what you're looking for, is this female mentor. I would check into some of the female-led management type organizations out there, because they exist, and there's some amazing women out there.
Oh, absolutely. And in the business I'm in, I get to meet them all the time.
Yep. That's the best part, right? Is once you start meeting people, you're like, oh, I've got to connect you to Sarah or to Jane or like whoever, right? So
yes, absolutely. Wow, this has been a blast. And this has been great timing, because we just finished up with the tax season. And this is an opportunity for people to be able to really look at how they are managing their finances when it comes to IRS.
I was going to say, you've got 8 months, going on almost 7 months coming up for the upcoming time frame. So get on it. Time passes too fast. So
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Wow, Miss Shauna, the tax goddess. We are so happy that you joined us today. We know you're super busy and you took this time to meet with our audience to share your love. We appreciate it. And we are definitely looking forward to more collaborations. We'll probably want to hook up with you like in the middle of the year and maybe give some little tips. Okay, you could be, are you doing this? Well, get on it.
I love it. Get on it. Get on it. I love it. I would love that. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you again and looking forward to more collaborations.
Such pleasure.